of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item B, recording of the roll.
All present except for Mayor Burchell and Commissioner Semo, who have both asked for an excused absence.
I believe at our last meeting we excused Commissioner Semo, so I think we just have to excuse Mayor Burchell from tonight's meeting.
Motion to excuse Mayor Burchell.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mildren, second by Commissioner Tower to excuse Mayor Burchell from tonight's meeting. Any further discussion, concerns? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item C, approval of the consent agenda. Are there any changes we need to be aware of?
No changes.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Mildren to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion, concerns? Roll call.
Mildren.
Yes.
Tower.
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. Item D, approval of the agenda. Are there any changes we need to be aware of?
No changes.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Mildren to approve tonight's agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, receive and place on file 1 statement of revenue and expenditures and 2 monthly cash report.
Thank you. Tonight I'm reporting on the revenue and expenditures for the period ending March 31st of 2016. At the end of March, we should be around 75% through our budget. Karen, if you want to go to the second page, some of the highlights. Just the general fund, period fund balance, showing our revenue sharing is always a few months behind. January and February is we received in April, 120,000 total. In March, revenue sharing will not be received until June, so there's 60,000 there. Again, just to note the use of fund balance for a couple items, the fire truck, 100,000, and the use of fund balance for the Western Gateway Trail project, $130,000. So the items that are shown in the revenue column as of the end of March, so $410,000 that gives us a net positive amount. We're up to $7,000, so we're in good shape through the end of March in our general fund. On the next page is our major street fund. Actually, just to back up, one thing I wanted to highlight in our general fund is the Aurora Land Survey. You just noticed that we are, for that specific department, over budget. But again, that amount has been approved by the commission, a greater amount to be spent on that project. To get out of that, we can build back to the residents of that area. But again, in total, for the budget for that, for our parks, we're not over budget for those items. So no adjustment is necessary at this time. The major street fund, minus 67,000. You will see that recurring every month. Again, we're spending the fund balance, we spent fund balance, excuse me, for the Hemlock Street Phase 2 project, the mill and overlay area. So that negative 67,000, you'll see that throughout the end of June. In the local streets, I just wanted to note now that we believe we're through the majority of our winter maintenance and snow hauling. Overall, we are under budget in those areas, so it's a good thing. And we're staying under, all sitting pretty close. And then just the last one that I wanted to hit is our EDC revolving loan fund. Back in December, the MEDC agreed to forgive $200,000 of the $300,000 IIDC loan for the spec building. So you'll see a net big negative number in there, and that's because we actually expense out that money. So that $200,000, that's why you're seeing that negative period fund balance in that fund. You'll see that throughout the end of the fiscal year as well. Nothing other, no other funds, major reports or revenues, expenditures are concerned. So if you have any questions on that specific report, I can address those now.
So any money that we're under budget on for winter maintenance and that is money that can be rolled back into streets, perhaps this
As long as
summer?
we don't go over in any other areas, so we're keeping an eye on surface maintenance, so, patching, pothole patching is going on in any other projects. But yeah, in essence, as long as we stay, we're under what would be used for other areas within the streets.
Any other questions, comments?
No.
If not, the cash balance summary is also there. Nothing significant to note as far as balances, they're all healthy. The only thing I wanted to note is just the difference, important report that was included in the packet on the volunteer fire department. Those funds were held at a different bank prior to the beginning of March, and they're now transferred to the City of Ironwood's River Valley Bank, and will be included there going forward. Other than that, can I answer any questions?
Any additional comments, questions for Paul? Entertain a motion for item E.
I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the statement of revenue and expenditures and monthly cash report.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Mildren to receive and place on file 1 statement of revenue and expenditures and 2 monthly cash report. Any further discussion, concerns? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item F, approval of monthly check register report.
And that was included in the packet. If there are any questions on any of the checks for the month of March, I can address those now.
Additional discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the monthly check register report.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Mildren to approve the monthly check register report. Additional discussion? Roll call.
Tower?
Yes.
Mildred?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes. Item G. Thank you, Paul. Item G, citizens wishing to address the commission on items on the agenda, a 3-minute limit, please. And just a reminder to be respectful. At this point of the meeting, we are looking for comments from the audience prior to commission decision. So if you have a comment for the commission on items on the agenda, now would be the time. Please approach the podium and state your name.
Alder Dovsich, 1221 East Leonard. J, discuss and consider approval to retain Lake Superior State College to conduct an income study for the City of Ironwood. That's a great thing. That is a great thing to see. It would be nice to see them break this down into categories. The government people with the government jobs, put them in the category all by themselves. The people on Social Security, put them by themselves. The people that are working on an industrial park and oddball jobs, put them by themselves. Then you'll see how poor people really are around here, and the help that people need. And what you're going to find out then is, you cannot, with these new projects going on, you cannot increase the water rates. People just do not have the money. These senior citizens living in their houses for $800-900 a month, Social Security, they cannot afford a rate increase. They can't afford it. You have to cut in this building, get rid of 5 people. 5 people. Burley has 5 people working in their city hall. Bessemer has 5. Wakefield has 5. We do not need 10 people working in this building. You have to clean this building up. People cannot afford a new more water rates and tax increases. They just cannot afford it. Thank you.
Okay, item G, citizens wishing to address the commission on items that are on the agenda.
Martel, 420 West Francis Street. On the subject of J, Lake Superior State University, I was wondering if this university is going to be bonded, or be insured, if there's confidentiality agreements that they're not going to sell this information on the internet. As for section I was wondering about the 33 claims from Snow Country Enterprises that I don't know if they've been solved yet or not. For C1, direction of minutes, I want to state that, I think it was Brandon here that brought up that local street paving, streets are not finalized yet, so I want that corrected.
What, back up, what item are you on right now?
That would be B1. You said the minutes, I think Brandon brought it up 2 weeks ago, that this local street paving, streets to be done where it's not finalized. So I'd like that corrected.
I guess I'm confused on what you were asking.
I had to try and show us the map on what streets were to be done.
Yep.
And I think Brandon brought up as a question, was this finalized? And some, we said, no, it was not finalized, on what streets to be paved. So I want the minutes corrected to reflect that.
Okay.
What item and what letter?
I think he's referring back to the consent agenda.
Yeah,
Approval minutes.
right, the minutes aren't verbatim, it's what they made the motion.
Your minutes aren't a transcript of the discussion at the meeting. It's
Okay.
basically your motion, your action, and the results of that.
I think at the time we were talking about going out for bids, and at the point, once we receive the bids and it comes back to the commission, that at that point, that the roads would be determined at that time. So, again, like our city manager had mentioned, it's just a transcript of what we had voted on.
And then, it's either E1 or E2, or you got approximately $40,000 or $400,000 to unspent money in your water break activities fund. I was wondering what you're gonna do with that money. And then you got approximately $33,000 left in your parks budget. So I'd like to figure out what you're gonna do with that money. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're still on item G, citizens wishing to address the commission on items on the agenda. We're moving to item H, citizens wishing to address the commission on items not on the agenda. Same thing, 3-minute limit. Please be respectful, be objective. This is not a time to provide any kind of slanderous comments or a time to be just in a negative tone towards staff members or commission members. You want to hear something that's objective, factual, and your thoughts on it. So item H, citizens wishing to address the commission on items not on the agenda. Same thing, if you want to approach the podium, state your name.
Albert Offstage, 1221 East Leonard. Tuesday after the last commission meeting, I put something on the agenda to have Scott Erickson answer my 5 questions. And I don't see that it's on the agenda.
Okay, before you go any further, in item I, update phase 3, water and sewer, I believe some of your questions will be answered at that point.
Some or all 5?
All 5 will be
All
answered.
5 will be
All
answered.
5, okay. And one thing I noticed about these projects that you do, the construction is always put under, for bid. Why isn't the engineering cost put under bids? Everything's given to Coleman Engineering. And what Coleman Engineering is not the Sealy and Florence Street. You know how I feel about that. And another thing is you said you're gonna take on Blake really hard. How many Blake notices are there? 100? Really? There should be that many notices out. I mean, this town is dirty, it's a pigsty, we need to clean it up. I mean, you have to get someone on the stick to do their job. And that'll be it for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, item H.
You can bring that up.
Anybody else? Okay.
Martha Peterland, 113 South Suffolk Street, the old Swanson ceramic shop and woodworking shop. I've lived in Ironwood now for 2 years in a shop, and I am concerned about the proliferation of drug trafficking going on in the area and the so-called little businesses that are happening right next door to me. The idea that I want to invest time, money, and open a business, a legitimate business, is just out of my realm at this time due to the fact that I have these scents, noises, people, and traffic at all hours of the day and night. And I'm sure people around here have seen this, and it's just getting worse. And I will not invest my money into it. I'm concerned for my safety. I've had death threats, and I need to protect order. Hopefully they'll accept that. These are the same ones that left Besmer's and got kicked out of their city meetings. So they're right next door to me, and we're all around in that area between that alleyway. So that's my concern. I hope we take it in stride for proliferation of the Ironwood.
Thank you for your comments. Have you gone and talked to our public safety or community development? Okay, thank you. All right, we are still on item H, items not on the agenda.
No, Martel, and I was wondering what the city commission is going to plan on doing to comply with this letter from the Soil Conservation District that I received last Friday, and I'm sure the city manager received last Friday. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, takes us to old business, item I. Sorry, update Phase 3 water and sewer project.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'll take this. This will be an update of the project that's occurred over the last couple of years. As we go through it toward the end, then we'll touch on the questions that Paul had brought up. Just to go back on the project, this project is spanned over a 3-year period. It started out with, there's actually 3 parts to it. The first part of the project was the first phase of the US2 construction. Snow Country Contracting was the contractor on that project. And that project is complete. The only outstanding item right now is Snow Country has some outstanding claims that are going through a DOT process to review and vet them. So that's in the works, but essentially all the work under Phase 1 is done. Last year, we had Phase 2 of the US2 project. Heber Construction was the contractor. That project, again, is been completed. I think there's a couple little housekeeping items that they're working on with the DOT. In addition to that, the city had our large water and sewer project, which was essentially that area north of US2 and east of Lake Road, that whole area there behind Don and Gigi's, and also in the Norrie neighborhood, very large area in that neighborhood that has new water and sewer. All the water and sewer is in place. The first layer of asphalt has been laid down. You'll see this summer that area will be cleaned up, and the final lift of asphalt will be put down, along with some restoration touch-up areas. Again, I want to just reiterate that the project the city had is a water and sewer project. I mean, the goal of this is to put new water main in the ground, new sewer in the ground, and by the way, we get to put a new street surface over the top of that. And we do the best we can to try to stretch that out and correct a lot of deficiencies that are out in these neighborhoods that have been there for many, many years. The value of these projects are in excess of $20 million. That includes the DOT projects and the city projects. So it's a very large, one of the more significant capital improvement projects the city's undergone in many, many years. So we're coming to the finishing cycle of that 3-year process. Again, just a few more details. You'll see the amount of water main that was put in the ground, just a little under 6 miles of water main, a little under 5 miles of sanitary sewer, and a little over 5 miles of road were reconstructed with this project. And again, Phase 3 will be completed this spring. Once the load limits are off, the paving contractor will come back in and finish paving and doing some restoration work. What you'll see here, and again, you know, these projects have been going over for 3 years, so you kind of forget what these neighborhoods were before we got into them. And again, the focus is the water and sewer. The benefit is we get to redo the streets as we come through. These neighborhoods, a lot of them hadn't seen any work done in years, 20, 30, 40 years, or longer. You talk to some of the old timers in there and they never saw a project occur in their neighborhoods. So it was overdue, and I think we have some good results with the work that's been done. You'll see these next couple slides here are basically drainage-related issues. A lot of these neighborhoods over time, they had their ditches filled in, water was sitting in the roads every time it would rain, and it was quite a mess out there. Now you go through the neighborhoods and essentially the drainage is working well. You'll see here's an example, same location. Right is the new pavement, left is the old. Every time it rained, you had water sitting on every corner out there in front of people's houses. And this is just a couple of snapshots to show what was throughout the whole neighborhood. Another example here, same corner, and it's just reflective of the whole neighborhood. I mean, it was in tough shape. And when the project came through, the other thing that was looked at was drainage, trying to improve that. It's not a drainage project, it's a water and sewer project. But when they came through, they did adjust some grades to help things drain better, get some of these pocketed areas to get the water sitting in the streets and get them into a collection system. There was some storm sewer that was put in. We were able to stretch that into the project a little bit. And you go through that neighborhood now after the rain, and I went through today, and the area looks very good. I think the drainage part has been addressed as well as the water and sewer. So these slides are just giving you a little before and after snapshot. And again, people tend to forget what the neighborhoods looked like before we got to them. And we'll just do a quick walk through here. Again, these are drainage related issues. You can see along the whole side of the road, water sat on the upper slide. The right slide, during the rain event, the water is going where it should be, into the ditches, into the collection systems. So again, here is a few slides just to refresh everybody's memory again. If you want to hold on, Karen, before you scroll through it too quickly. You're going faster than I can read here. So give me a second to catch up. You're on the first slide there?
Do you want me to go back?
Yeah, I just want to point out some locations here.
Where's the alley?
Again, you can go past that one. First one, this is Whimple Street. Everybody probably knows that. This is looking Whimple toward US 2. Next slide will take you after the road project is done. And again, some of these are after just this spring from the winter, so there's still sand down there. We'll get the sweepers through to clean them up. But you look at it and you drive through the neighborhood after a rain, things have been improved significantly. Again, another example, if you can hold on there, Karen, 1 second. This is Florence Street, and you can see how rough that whole neighborhood looked. And again, during the rain event, you had water sitting in the street. It was almost like a pool out there. It had nowhere to go. So afterwards, after the project is done, again, you have a new street surface, things are draining, and in good shape. Next one is Zinn Street, just next to Don and Gigi's. Again, you can see Patch Street, there was non-stop pothole patching out there. And if you go to the next slide, again, streets draining, pavement's in good shape, and restoration is completed. And that just goes on and on. It just gives you a flavor for what's been done, and I'm being a little redundant here, but I think it's important to gather the mind frame of what was done out there and what the improvements are. Again, another before and after example here. And if you want to go on to the next one. Again, this is again another before and after example. Again, during rain events, you basically had water sitting everywhere in these neighborhoods, and now you go out there after rain and things are draining like they should. This is up in Nori. Just to give them a little plug, this is Ash and Shamrock. Again, you see on the right, that's actually curb and gutter. That's under grass. Again, during every rain event, you have water sitting there, and the street is basically beyond its useful life. This is what it is now. Again, it will be cleaned up, and there will be a final lift of asphalt put on there, new curb and gutter, and things are draining as they should. And by the way, down below is new water and sewer. Again, another before and after example. This is Poplar Street. And again, the water main there, we had a real shallow water main, and talking to some of the residents, if one person was taking a shower, the other one ran out of water before we did the project. So now you come through, new utilities, and again, put back in a good stead with new curb and gutter and improved drainage. So with that, we come to some of the questions that Paul had, and this is, first one is on Florence Street. The question is, why is there a curve in the road? And there is a curve in the road. It's different than what was there before, but if you look at the plats, there are 2 plats out there, and that's how you subdivide a neighborhood. When they developed this many, many years ago, the surveyors had something off in their plats, and you can see the right-of-way there where the jog is. And you put the street in the center of the right-of-way so that you have boulevard on both sides for snow storage, for utilities, and for many other purposes. But as you come through, you can see where the jog is. That's where the curve is in the road, and that's why there is a curve in the road. With that said, there are many roads throughout town that have curves built into them for various reasons. But that is the reason for this, and we've explained that many times before. Actually, you've seen this slide before, but I wanted to go over that again because that was another question that Paul had brought up, so we want to make sure we address that. This is a picture of the curve in the road. You probably have all been out there to look at it. This is looking down Florence as you're going through, and there's a jog in the road, and it's not detrimental to traffic. It's not detrimental to the street. Functions very properly, but there is a curve in there. And it's the nature of having 2 plats that are offset and in the proper boulevards and area on either side of the street for snow storage and utilities. So there's a curve in the road. This is US 2, and it's subtle, but if you look at the center line, there's a curve in the road. Again, here you have a right-of-way that's offset on US 2. And this was just rebuilt, and again, a state trunk highway, and there's a curve in the road. It's the nature of what you have to deal with in older communities. If you're planning a brand new subdivision, you don't necessarily try to build these in the road, but some of our older neighborhoods, they have them built into the right-of-ways that are there, and that's what we have to work with. But with this, just to touch on questions. The first question is, how are you going to fix Celia and Florence Street in the 100 block? As we have mentioned, Florence Street has a curve in the road. It's not detrimental to traffic. What we are looking at doing after we look this spring, we are going to have a gravel shoulder put on the north side of the road. I think that'll benefit traffic, and it warrants a gravel shoulder in there. So that's what we're intending to do on Florence Street. And on Celia Street, I didn't have a picture of that, but that's essentially a gravel road. You probably have driven through there. There's a culvert that goes underneath Celia Street. It drains, there's a ditch, or they actually call it a creek, but a ditch that drains through that area. The culverts were replaced. They're exactly the same size culvert as was there before, and they're at the same elevations. The road is functioning very well. It is a gravel road. There's no changes there. We are going to build up, put a few loads of gravel on the east side of that. As the ditch in that area heads up with water, there's a ditch along Celia Street, which before used to just flood that whole area. There's a ditch there, and there's a low spot in the road, so we're going to put some loads of gravel in there, and that will be built up. But the road functions fine. It's just a drainage issue from that adjacent ditch that, with a few loads of gravel, should be addressed. So that was the first one. Number 2, are there going to be any additional construction costs, and if so, who's going to pay for them? There will be some additional costs associated with putting in the gravel edging under the project. The project will pay for that. There's a project budget for those improvements, and whether we put it in before or put it in now, there are bid items. We do have a contract set up with bid items that will be used to pay for the gravel shoulder and the gravel on Celia Street. So I think the next goes to the next one. Is the construction going to be bid out? There isn't. It's a very minor amount of work that will be done out there. Some loads of gravel, some edging on the road, and again, we have bid items for that. It's already been bid. We have unit prices for that work. Number 4, are there going to be any additional engineering costs, and if so, who is going to pay for them? There's really no engineering involved with this. I mean, it's a few loads of gravel and a gravel shoulder on a road, so it's straightforward. Contractor will take care of the work under bid unit prices that are already been bid for the project. And number 5, who's going to pay for fixing the boulevard at 907 Celia Street? And if you go to the next picture, this has come up a number of times, and it's been addressed a number of times, but we'll go over it one more time. Again, this is the picture. It'd be the corner that we're looking at, northeast corner of Celia. And again, through here, grades as you're doing a project do change a little bit. they always do on a project. They try to keep them as close as they can to what they were. If we kept them where they were before, we would have water sitting in the street. So they don't keep the bad grades in place. They'll change the grade a little bit to improve drainage. And on this corner, actually, I did go out and measure. We have what's called a smart level. It gives you a % grade. So I measured the grades that were being discussed here. It's kind of by where those trees are in that area. And you're at about a 10-to-1 to 12-to-1 slope. May not mean much, but that's a very flat slope. A steep slope is 1-to-1 or 2-to-1. Those are your maximum slopes that you use for designing, road design and back slopes on roadways. So a 10-to-1 slope, 12-to-1 slope is extremely flat. Is it a little more than they had before? It probably is a little steeper than it was before, but it's very manageable, very maintainable, very acceptable slope. So we would not propose to do any changes there. The slope is very workable, and it's actually a 10-to-1 slope is a very flat slope. So with that, give you a little background on the project, what's coming up this year for the project, and to address the questions that have been presented.
Commissioners, any further questions for City Manager Erickson?
Does that work for you, Paul?
The only thing I would have to say is those are side streets. People's yards, the contour of the people's yards were according to where those streets were. And the intersection at Florence and Lake was not moved. The intersection at Celia and Lake was dissolved. There's two, I mean, it's the same reason. These were side streets. These were not US 2. You can live with that. I mean, there's no traffic on those roads.
All right, looks like we've provided the appropriate information to the question, so I'd like to move on if there's any further discussion or concerns from the commission to our City Manager.
Just nice presentation.
Thank you. Takes us to new business. Item J, discuss and consider approval to retain Lake Superior State College to conduct an income study for the City of Ironwood.
Thank you. I provided a memo regarding the topic this evening. A couple of years ago, back in 2014, the Department of Housing and Development analyzed its low to moderate income list based on data from 2007 census survey. And based on that analysis, the city was removed from that low to moderate income list. What it means to be on that list is more opportunities for grants in different federal programs, specifically for the Community Development Block Grant Program. With that happening, being taken off the list, we became ineligible for a number of grant opportunities that we previously were eligible for. Shortly after that happened, we requested to perform an income survey. Denied at the time. Fast forward to this year now, we met with the NBC on Lansing when we were there last month. Talking to them about a potential grant that's coming out for infrastructure. A maximum grant amount of $750,000 for water sewer projects. So we talked about the different phase 4 project and the other work that we're doing here and wanted to be able to apply for that grant, only to come to find out that we had to be in that low to moderate income list of HUD in order to be eligible to apply. And since we're not, we wouldn't be eligible to apply for the grant. So then we worked with NBC, submitted an application to do an income survey, provided justifications. The grant us the authority to do the income survey. To do that survey, we need to retain the services of Lake Superior State College. NBC only has 6 different universities that they've certified to do this work. 5 of them are in the state of Michigan. One is actually in Florida, and only one of them is in the UP, which is Lake Superior State College. We've been in communication with them to do the work, provided them background information that's required, and they have agreed to perform the work for us at an aggressive pace in order for us to be able to determine if we're eligible to be put back on HUD's list. Just by doing an income survey, there's no guarantee that we're going to get back on the list, but the data that was used to determine the new list was from 2007. This is census data from 2007. This was right before the market crashed. our percentage point was 49.91%. We have to be at 51% greater to be on the list. So the fact that we're a point and a half, couple tenths away from being on the list, plus with the fact that the data they used was 2007, right before the crash, and everyone's seen what's happened with the economy. We are fairly confident that we can get back on that list based on the income. So what at the time, we didn't know what the amount would be. We're still figuring out those numbers. It's based on what's required for how many household units have to be surveyed. There's a formula that is used to determine that. But we're recommending an amount not to exceed $12,500. The ultimate cost, whatever the amount is, will be split between the water and sewer departments. Half will be paid by the water department, the water fund, half will be paid by the sewer fund, because we are going after a water and sewer grant. So with that, staff is recommending we contract with Lake Superior State College in an amount not to exceed $12,500. If you do approve this evening, we'll be working with them very quickly this next week in order to get the necessary paperwork put together and come up with that final number, and then we'll start the work if that's needed to be completed.
In your work, when, for example, we're working in conjunction with the road commission to some of our streets, we get that at a reduced cost because they're also a governmental unit. So Lake Superior State College is a governmental unit. We're a governmental unit. Are there any quick figures out there available to say that yes, we're saving this much money? Is there anything that?
We don't have any numbers right now. Like I said, there's only 6 authorized entities per the MAC that are certified to do this work. A lot of the cost is labor and travel. So obviously the UP, the labor and travel costs are going to be a lot less than those downstate or even out of state. So if you look at it from that standpoint, this is probably the cheapest option. We were not able to research it just because of the timing constraints that we're under.
No, it's good that there is someone in the UP, absolutely.
I think it's important that we maintain the momentum for our aging water and sewer projects. To me, it sounds like a good deal, spend $12,500 for the potential for $750,000 in a grant. If this is approved tonight, what is the time frame for starting?
They would be starting, we have some paperwork to do this week and some other notifications that we have to get out, but they would start within the next couple of weeks, and they're saying by the end of May they would be completed.
Okay. Are we doing anything to Okay. Are we doing anything to notify the citizens of this project?
Yeah, so part of the requirement is we have to provide them with a list of all the residential units within the city of Ironwood. They then take that data, there's a formula, like I said, to determine what percentage of those units have to get surveyed. They do a random sample draw based on the computer systems that they use, and then randomly select properties to go and talk to people, do this income survey. It's a one-page form. They basically ask them a few questions. How many people do you have in your household, and how much money do you make? How much does the household make on an annual basis? Those are 2 basic questions to determine the income thresholds. We're required to send out notification to those that are randomly selected. So once they generate that random list, then we have to send out notice by mail, and then also publish in the newspaper.
Okay. Again, the information will be solely used for the purpose of qualifying for this grant?
Correct.
Okay. And are there any bonding concerns at all?
No.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve to retain Lake Superior State College to do an income study for the City of Ironwood.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mildren, second by Commissioner Tower to approve, for the approval to retain Lake Superior State College to conduct an income study for the City of Ironwood. Any additional discussion?
I have a question.
Okay.
How does HUD determine that we are no longer a low to moderate income community? How do they determine that?
They use data based on the American Community Survey from 2007. So it's census data. It's not the every 10-year census data. How that survey is, how the data for that survey is determined, I don't know. But that's what they use. When we found out that we were kicked off the list in 2014 and we were told that's the data they use, we as a city, we questioned it and said, why are you using the data that's 7 years old? Especially, again, before the market crash, we all know what the economy has done. Ironwood took a dive after that as well as everybody else did. So, we don't control how they do it, but that's the data they use. Is it right? That's obviously debatable, whether it's good data or it's not. We would argue it's not. It's 7 years
No,
old.
definitely. Very odd situation.
Additional comments, questions? Can I do a roll call on that one?
Mildred?
Yes.
Tower?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes. Thank you, Michael. Item K, discuss and consider approving increase in residential garbage rates.
Your contract with Eagle Rate, or Eagle Waste, we have a cost of living increase, and it was 0.3%, I believe. Garbage went up 24 cents, and recycling went up 3 cents, so it's going to change from 11.74 to 12.01 per month. Keep in mind when we
Say, Bob, can you get a closer to the mic?
keep in mind when we left our left gaming disposal a few years back, our rate was $13.75 on just for garbage service. So $12.01 a month is still a really good deal. Any action on this? That's all I'm looking for, is action on this. The contract starts on May 1st, or changes on May 1st. That's what we have on.
It's consistent with the contract every year. They're built in based on the CPI, cost of living adjustment, based on a table that's out there. So that's what this would be.
Well, our rates are still lower than they were a few years ago. We do have curbside recycling, and I've toured the plant. It's a phenomenal plant, and kind of at the end of the day, when you're doing recycling, you're reducing landfill space, I believe, up to like 60% if everybody's on board with this. I think it's a good process, and
So we're looking for a motion.
yep.
I'll make the motion approving the residential garbage rate increase.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Mildren, second by Commissioner Tower to approve the increase in residential garbage rates as described in item K. Any further discussion, concerns? Roll call.
Tower?
Yes.
Mildred?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes. Item L, discuss and consider awarding the sale of miscellaneous brass and scrap iron to Western UP Recycling Center.
We have a pile of brass computers we no longer use. They're just scrap. We annually, every other year, we put it out for bids. We had one bid this year, 90 cents per ton for the brass, and then $45 per ton for scrap water pipe, effective hydrants. We are, yes, I'm looking for a motion to sell it to Western Youth Recycling.
I'll make a motion to award the sale of miscellaneous brass and scrap iron to Western UP and Recycling.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Mildren to award the sale of miscellaneous brass and scrap iron to Western UP Recycling Center. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mildred?
Yes.
Tower?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes. Item M, discuss and consider awarding the sale of Ironwood Public Safety seized property.
Recently, we just included our sale of public seized items. These items are seized by dying. So I'm looking for approval to approve these bids. This money will be used to offset their costs, so this is money that will go towards Giant's efforts. Items that were not sold will be relisted for bidding with other items that they have obtained over the last few months.
Andrew, I think this motion or the memo also asks to consider scrapping one or two items. Am I correct with that?
Yes, there are, I believe there are 2 vehicles that are not drivable. In the first round, we moved them over for bid. People may want them for parts. There were no bids received on those items, so those will be scrapped out. We'll call 3 of our local scrapping companies and take the highest bid.
Make a motion to award the bids as presented in item N.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Mildren to award the sale of Ironwood Public Safety seized property as described in item M. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Tower.
Yes.
Mildren.
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. Item N, discuss and consider approving the sale of Ironwood Public Safety Department duty weapon Ron Carpenetto to the Ironwood Professional Police Association for $1 to be presented to Sergeant Ron Carpenetto upon his upcoming retirement.
Okay, Sergeant Ron Carpenetto, unfortunately, is excited about that. I will be retiring July 13th. Past practice has been to allow the retiring officer, if they are in their full retirement, to continue to obtain the duty weapon. There was no policy. So when talking with Scott, we felt it would be best to bring this into the commission case-by-case basis. That's what I did contact other chiefs and directors in the state of Michigan. There are states that identify that upon retirement you will receive your duty weapon. Michigan does not identify that through law. So I spoke with other chiefs and directors, and basically the consensus was they either donate it to them or sell it back to the union. So we decided to sell it back to the union for $1.
Based on past practices, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Mildren, second by Commissioner Tower to approve the sale of Ironwood Public Safety Department duty weapon as described in item N. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mildren.
Yes.
Tower.
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. Congrats and big thanks for 26 years of service. Great. Item O, Manager's Report.
Again, as you can see, the report's expanding. We're at 3 pages. I won't go through all the items on there, but as summer comes around, things get more active. I'll hit a few highlights here. I do want to make everybody aware, and hopefully people will turn out for this. There's a meeting this Thursday at Gilgibit Community College in room B22. It's with our snowmobile trail group. And the DNR is involved, the Snowmobile Association and the Trail Authority are there. They're trying to generate more support for their trail maintenance efforts. I think it's a very limited number of individuals right now that are taking on that huge task of maintaining the trails throughout all of Gilgibit County, and they need some help. So 1 o'clock Thursday, April 28th, they're having a meeting there trying to rally some enthusiasm, interest, and supporters. So everything from business owners to individuals that are passionate about snowmobiling or just want to help the communities out. This is a big economic development part of our communities. That brings a lot of people in, a lot of snowmobilers. So we want to hopefully get as many people there as possible. So if you can make it in your schedule, try to attend that meeting. Another reminder, the city's spring cleanup day is Saturday, May 7th from 8 to 11. Again, dropping off unwanted items over on Air Street by the dance company. We'll have some dumpsters set up. I do believe we have the ROTC again that have agreed to help us. They're a godsend. A lot of muscle there that can help unload vehicles. Also this Saturday, April 30th at 10 o'clock, the Friends of the Iron Bell Trail are having a trail cleanup. Again, there's a group that has basically stepped forward that are going to help with the regional trail, keeping the costs down on maintenance, which is very nice of them, and they're very passionate about it. So they're having a trail cleanup for anybody that wants to show up. It's Saturday at 10 o'clock. They'll meet at the depot and then go about doing some cleanup and then come back, and the Friends they're going to put on a little brat cookout for the volunteers. So try to get word out on that. Again, you'll see a lot of other events that are coming up here over the next month or two. A few other items. The city has started The work, actually Angelo Pino is the contractor working on behalf of the city, working on the library. You probably see the activity over there. They removed a number of windowsills that had deteriorated. They're sandstone windowsills, deteriorated over the years, and they have those removed. They're getting them refaced, and they've also lowered the chimney. If you haven't noticed, one of the large chimneys, they lowered it down to get it down to where it was originally, and they'll also be doing some tuck pointing on that building once the weather warms up. And again, this is in conjunction with a grant that the library had received for that work. With the weather improving, and hopefully the load limits will be off shortly. I haven't heard a date yet, but hopefully in the next week or so. Our contractors that are under contract with the city to start the house demolition are waiting for their opportunity to get in and start removing some of these houses. We have contracts both with Snow Country Contracting and Angelo Lapino. Snow Country has 6 properties they're going to be demolishing, and Lapino has 5. So you'll see that start here shortly. They actually, sounds like they may start, there's 2 properties right here next to City Hall off of Norfolk Street by the library, by the parking lot there, that they can get access to off of McLeod. So they may start those as early as Thursday if they finish up their environmental work. So you might see some of that work start a little sooner if they can get to the properties off of an all-season road. Again, some of our park projects, Lindquist Electric is gearing up to start their work over on Curry Park. The new electric full hookups will be going in over there. And also, you'll be seeing some notices coming out. I think Bob Turbin and the water department are coordinating their spring hydrant flushing. Again, they try to do that twice a year, spring and fall, to keep the system flushed out. And I believe they're starting, we'll be starting this coming Sunday, May 1st, Sunday night, and they go through basically the week, and they'll be putting notices in the paper on, I think, how that'll occur and what zones will be flushed out over the next, over next week. And there was a question on blight, again with the early spring. The blight pops up, and we encourage all residents to clean up their properties. It is a personal pride thing. People are responsible to maintain their own properties, but when they do not, then we have a code enforcement process in place, and that's been moving forward again with the early start. Again, this is probably the highest number we've had to date. We have about 34 letters that have been sent out. That doesn't mean there haven't been more contacts, but that's the ones that have gotten to the letter stage. So that's where we're at with that, and they're taking an aggressive approach to jump on that right away. But we do encourage people to clean up their properties, because someone should not have to come and tell you to clean up your property. But if we need to, we do, and they're doing a very good job on making contact with the property owners that aren't quite so compliant. And did want to touch, a question came up on the Little League field with the slope stabilization. There was sloughing over the winter time. We have received another notice from the Soil and Water Conservation District, as Mr. Martell had mentioned last Friday. The DPW crew, that passed on to them, they're looking at it again, and they'll be looking to stabilize that bank out there with some seed and some erosion control fabric, what have you, to try to get the turf reestablished. It was looking pretty good last fall, and then there was some sloughing over the winter time. So hopefully the slope is continuing, or is discontinuing its sloughing, and they can get some turf established out there. So they'll be working on that very soon here, I believe. So. And that's the end of the report.
Thank you for the updates. Item P, other matters?
Sure. I'd like to comment just on the GUR bike ride coming up June 5th. The GUR bike ride is a cooperative project between the cities and townships. And so we've started in Bessemer some years, we've started in Ironwood some years. This year, we're happy we're starting in Ironwood, and it'll be at the Depot Park, and it'll start at 2 o'clock. But one of the fun things that you should know is that if there's 50 bikers or 100 bikers or 150 bikers, we're going to ride the trail, and then we're going to end up in Irwin Township. Irwin Township is going to help us by opening up their township hall, and then depending on if people do a 10-mile or 20-mile bike ride, we'll end up back at the Depot Park. Now, back at the Depot Park, the music and the group Sugar and Spice is going to play, and so that's something that GUR pays for, but you're all invited down because it's wonderful music performed by two young ladies from Ironwood. And I remember last year in Bessemer, they sang Hallelujah, and they're good. So I want to bring that up a couple of times because it's so much more fun if besides the 100 bike riders, there's 100 people from the community that enjoy free music in the park, just to do that. And then one other thing, and it's all about respect. You know, I respect all of you. You come here, and you want the city to be run right. It's a wonderful thing, and the employees in the city do a wonderful job of running this right. I want to mention Coleman Engineering, just because. It's always good not to talk about how good a job someone does, but actually say what they do sometimes. And for 10 years, my friends and I and a number of groups and civic organizations, we do Santa's headquarters. And when we do Santa's headquarters, trees go up all over the community and people buy toys for children. And then they donate cash. And it's always like a $25,000 effort when you add everything up. And the City of Ironwood donates the memorial building. And so we make sure that 350 to 450 children in this community and throughout all of Go-Givet County have a great Christmas. And we buy food for Christmas dinner. We have toys. We have jackets. We have hats, we have blankets, we have, it just goes on and on. A great thing about Santa's headquarters is every year we have children from either Our Lady of Peace, Ironwood High School, Bessemer School, asset builders. They come and they help us do this toy distribution and everything else that we give. 1 year, there was a snowstorm. I think it was 4 years ago. There was a snowstorm. And schools were canceled throughout the range. So the schools couldn't help us. So we were going to do Santa's headquarters without 50 or 80 children volunteering to help with all of this. And 500 people coming through the door. So Coleman Engineering heard about this. They closed their offices, and every person at Coleman came up and helped us with that toy and food distribution for 450 children. So anyway, there's a lot of other stories too, but it was a big deal, and we appreciated it. So you know, when you go, if you go there and you think about them being able to do something like that, and then you look at the people that work there. And they're surveyors and they're scientists and they're engineers. And because we live in an area where skiing and bike riding and all these things, people want to live in this area and they get to choose some of the best people in the nation to come and work here. So it's pretty cool that their people that work there are really high character people and they're our neighbors. Just wanted to mention that also. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. Item Q, consider a closed session to discuss contract negotiations with the Ironwood Professional Police Association and ASME Local 1538 unions. We need a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Mildren to go into closed session to discuss contract negotiations. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Tower?
Yes.
Mildren?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes. Okay, we are going into closed session.